Yeah, okay. Done recording. Okay. Okay, let's go back to the process of the budgeting. It's here. Okay, on the second chapter. So the slide is moving. Is it moving in you?
Yes, sir, it's moving.
Okay, cool. Sekarang the budget process. Okay, in the budget process, achieving the least cost means of accomplishing a tourist objective. Okay, this is an name an example in the budget. A program is combination of the government activity producing a distinguishable output. Usually, the government has the program. Let's say for next year program in Indonesia. So an example of the let's say the next year program in Indonesia is the government want to increase, okay, want to increase the economic growth during the pandemic, okay. So the government of Indonesia usually they have a program. So every agency, like every ministry or every agency, they have a program. So basically, the program that they build is the purpose to create some sort of economic growth or to decrease the unemployment and increase, the income. So based on the program itself, there is been proposed by the government, then they submit it to the house, and then every program have a budget, have the money associated with the program. It is called program budgeting. So the program budgeting is the system of managing government be from investment in transportation, investment in building road, in building airport, and building bridges, and uh, to protect the citizen through the budget for national defense, to the military system. So the government expenditure attempting to compare the program proposal of all government agencies. The government agency could be like Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Defense, and every ministry. Okay, authorized to achieve similar objective. So basically, they have a mission, they have a vision. In Indonesia, we only have one vision, which is the president vision, not from the Ministry of Vision. So they achieve a similar objective through the vision and mission. And if you still remember the concept of economic, where the scarcity associated with the economic, a scarcity also has to do with the state budget. Sometimes in Indonesia is actually the state budget here is always deficit. The government of Indonesia to choose to have a deficit in the state budget. That's the choice. Okay. Uh, they assume it will increase the economic growth, by spending the state budget. So if you have a concept of the scarcity or with the problem with the money, then you need to have a cost effectiveness analysis. So which program that will effective, to boost or to have an objective. So the cost effective analysis is a technique for determining the to achieve a given objective. So it's like a technique to have a minimum cost combination. That's for the uh, economic of the budget. Well, actually, I want to share to you the process of legislative in here. the process, political process in deciding, the budget itself. But probably I have to explain this because in the book they explain actually only the process within the United States. So before I move to the process, I might explain some of the economic analysis for the budget before the process. Okay, if you still remember, hold on, page 232 here. If you still remember regarding this Isaac cost and Isaac one, which is the Isaac cost and the Isaac one, it's actually, uh, this is the budget line. Remember the budget line? And this one is, I forgot the name, but it's actually, this one in here curve, this called Isaac cost. It has to do with the cost. And this one is Isaac one. So in this example, this is actually an example of the purpose of the government. The government wants to save life of 5,000 people. So in order to save life, they have a program. Okay, some of the program will be inoculation. Inoculation is like the shot, flu shot, or the vaccine shot, uh, like the pandemic happened today. If the government can find the vaccine, then they can do inoculation here in order to protect the citizen, and also the smoke detectors per year. Uh, in this case, the smoke detector will be installed in every building within the country, and the government assume by doing so, it will give an alarm if there is something happen with the burning building. So they will install smoke detector. So smoke detector versus inoculation per year. So according to this, the government purpose is willing to install uh, both of them. This should be installed in the citizen, inoculation. They give you shot injection, and then this is more smoke detector. Smoke detector will be installed in every building that they're considered to be uh, safe if there is a fire burn that building. It will give early warning system to the people who work at the building. So in here, this is cost effective mix between smoke detector and inoculation. Okay. So in here, if we see this table, we assume that the cost effective, that's when, this ISAC1, it starts the ISAC cost. This is the ISAC cost, this is the ISAC1. It seems like the budget line that we learned previously. So you have to pick the area that tangent, this is called tangent or touches between the ISAC cost, this ISAC cost, the yellow line, the green line, and the ISAC one. So according to this, the cost effectiveness analysis to achieve, you know, to achieve life safe for 5,000 every year, if the government to give 20,000 shot to the citizen every year, and also install 10,000 smoke detector per year in every building that considered to be dangerous if there is a fire over there, to give the early warning system. So that's according to this. So you have to pick something that is touching here, because if we see point A is actually is not touching. Okay, even if this is crossing the isocos, but this one is not affected unless if this is put in here. If point A, let's see, can I move this? Yeah. unless if I move this point A to here. Okay, let's see, can we move this here? So yeah, a point, this is too close. Wait, yeah. Okay, if point A is moved in here, then it should be not 20,000, probably 80,000. Okay, it's 8,000 with 10,000. It might be because according if you still remember the basic concept of the ISA cost, the farther the IQ's cost, that will give you the higher benefit. Okay, so the farther line of the ISA cost, or this is last time we learned this as the budget line. The farther this ISA cost will be benefit have, this is the point when you measure this. This is too farther from zero, from the origin. This is called origin. If we put in here, let's put this into back position. Okay. But in this case, this is actually, yes. And let's say that if we assume, okay, let's say that okay, assume that the price of the document this. Assume that, okay, assumption, okay, price of smoke detector is $30. Can you see this? Can you see I'm typing on the word now?
Not yet, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Oh no. So what do you see on your slide? Hello.
Not presenting, sir.
What do you see now on the
Sir.
slide?
Your camera, sir. Your
Not presenting? Already? Screen, my face or the slide?
now presenting.
Oh, we only see your face, sir.
Not presenting now. This is too slow, I think. Hold on. Still my face? You don't.
Yes, sir.
Oh boy.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sorry about that. It's too slow. How about now? So what do you see on your slide now?
Assume
Present, sir.
The words
Word, sir.
price of smoke detector.
Oh, okay. Okay, good. Okay. Assume that the price of the smoke detector is $30. Okay. and the price of, how to spell this, inoculation, $15. So what the so-called cost-effective mix, cost-effective mix and inoculation, just okay, this stand for SD and I, is equal to C is equal to 30, and then you multiply with smoke detector, and then you sum with 15 of inoculation. Excuse me. Okay. Let's say this one is SD, and this one is only I. Okay. So this is the cost-effective mix between small detector and I. This is the calculation. Okay. If you want to know if this government wants to install how much the small detector at the point be 10,000 of the small detector and 20,000 of inoculation. How much the cost for this? So you just simply and then you multiply with small detector 10,000, and then you add with 15, and then you multiply with 20,000. So this is the cost. So you can find this. You can calculate this. So how much for this one? This is, should be C is equal to 100,000 plus same, 300,000. It should be this amount, 600,000 US dollar. Okay. So this is the cost. So it's supposed to be equal. Cost effective for the, to save life for 1 year, then to, okay, just clear, yeah. Again to, this is too slow. Okay, did you see the slide again? The PPT?
No, sir. Right now,
Yes? Okay, good.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's go back to the slide again.
Yes, sir.
Good. Thank you for your information. I'm having a hard time with the computer because the Google Meet is kind of slow. It's hard, compared to the Zoom. Zoom is kind of not too hard, not too not too slow. That's fine. The campuses ask us to do this using the Google Meet because they can record this. Actually, they can see what I've done to my student in teaching this. Okay, 3 steps to calculate cost-benefit analysis. Okay, the first one is you have to enumerate. Enumerate is calculate. You have to calculate our cost and benefit of the proposed project. Cost benefit. If its cost is higher than the benefit, then you have to usually reject the project. But if the benefit is higher than the cost, then you can accept the benefit. I mean, you can accept the project, sorry. And then, this is the 3 step. Excuse me. After you calculate all cost and benefit of the process project, and then you evaluate, okay? Evaluating cost and benefit in money term, okay? If it's the project in dollar, then you calculate in dollar term. If it's money in rupiah, then you calculate in rupiah. So whether the cost benefit is really achieve what they target or really get the higher benefit instead of higher cost. And then you do the discount future net benefit. This is you use the present value, future value. I think you guys already learned this in the financial. Okay, and okay. And the project, if the project marginal social cost is equal to the project with the marginal social benefit, then the project can be approved. But if the cost, the marginal social cost is higher than the marginal social benefit, then you can reject the project. Okay. This is on page 234. 234. Okay. So the cost benefit analysis in here in the book, they say represent a practical technique for determining the relative merit of alternative government project over time. And then you use cost benefit analysis can contribute to efficiency by making sure that the new project with marginal social cost exceed the marginal social benefit. So if it's equal, then you can reject the project. So the marginal social benefit, okay, just write it here. This is actually not in here probably. So you need to accept the project only if marginal social benefit, okay, is more than marginal social cost. If it's not, or unless, let's say if it's equal, then you have to reject. So this one, you have to accept the project. Okay. Okay, and then let's move to the next slide here. Okay, calculating or enumerating benefit and cost. So remember that usually in the project there has to be a direct cost. Direct cost is something that is have direct to the project itself. Direct cost and direct benefit are those attributable to the purpose of the project. So something that has to do with the project. Uh, for example, okay, that's from a book, benefiting. For example, in irrigation project, the purpose is to increase the fertility of the particular tract land, the purpose of the project. The direct benefit in this case will be net increase over time in the agricultural output on the tract of land being irrigated. So the output of the agriculture must be increased because of this project, the irrigation project, you know, building dam. Okay, when you're building dam for the irrigation, and then the purpose of the government is to increase the output of the agriculture, like, you know, potatoes, rice, something like that. If that can increase the agricultural output, then it can increase the price in the market. So it will not really affected by the inflation. You know. If we can protect the supply of the rice, then the price of the rice in the market will be stabilized. You know, it will not be increased. So that's why usually the job of the government to maintain stability within the market, to maintain the economic within the market. Like as you see today, when the government is trying to maintain the economic of growth while we are having a pandemic of COVID-19 that affected actually to the economic, the government, you know, they spend more money into the economy. They can give you money, they can give you food free for everything. Of course, with a limited number of money, because we don't really have too much money in the nation here, especially government. There is always run deficit every year. So that's the direct. Okay, the indirect. Okay, it's actually, let's say indirect for this, improve fertility. Okay, it might be improve fertility for the adjoining, you know, land, or maybe if for some recreation in the irrigation or in the dam, they build a water recreation, water sport, something like that. That's indirect benefit for them. So in other words, indirect costs, indirect benefit are those attributable to the project that were not part of intended purpose of the project. So it's like, yeah, they have an externality, okay, whether the positive externality or negative externality. Remember from I think last week, yeah, externality. So that's when you calculate. This is the number one step. Step number one, to calculate the cost, to do an analysis of cost and benefit, or cost benefit analysis. Okay, and the second one is evaluating benefit and cost. So valuing output requires an estimate of the demand of the increased production and calculation of the consumer surplus. So remember the consumer surplus, the area above the consumer surplus. Hold on. Okay, let me write it down. Okay, the consumer surplus is the area above the equilibrium price and below the demand curve. Remember that? Okay. How is you still remember the consumer surplus? So basically, in the consumer surplus, that's the benefit of you. That the benefit of consumer. The higher the consumer surplus, the higher the benefit for the consumer. So evaluating cost and benefit in dollar term is through some cost and benefit are easily quantifiable others. So you have, so the benefit can be calculated, quantified, such as the value of a human life saved or loss because of the project are not as easy. So when you evaluate whether not or based on the target, based on the proposed project at the beginning of the project. Okay, this is the second step, evaluating. Uh, okay, benefit increase. For example, okay, this is an example of evaluating. Although the benefit of many public health programs are consumed collectively, the value of this benefit might be reflected in increased earnings of those whose health improved by the project. Okay, improve in health. Okay, number 3. I hope you still remember number 3, discounting future value. You remember your future value, PV is present value, and then you have future value. And this is X, this is 1, this is plus R. R is interest rate, okay? The market interest rate. Okay. It is an interest-adjusted value of cost or benefit that will occur in the future. Okay, present value is interest-adjusted value of a cost or benefit that will occur in the future. Okay. So the question is like this. So how much money do you need to invest today? Okay, if you are expecting to get, let's say, 1 million by the next year. So how much you need to invest today if you want to receive 1 million in the future? If the interest rate, let's say 10%. So you have to calculate using the present value now. So what is the present value of your future investment if you want to receive 1 million 1 year from now? If, let's say, the interest rate is 10%. So that's discounting future net benefit. So if you want to receive 1 million in next year, let's say if the government is willing to get the benefit of 1 million by next year, so how much the government have to invest today? So usually the present value is less than the future value, because remember that in this present, in the discounting here, the money that you have today, okay, as of today, is worth more than the money that you have in the future, let's say within 1 year. Because remember that it has to do with the inflation, where the inflation is erode or decrease your purchasing power. This is the explanation. In 1998, it was like 25 years ago. In 1998, if you bring 100,000 rupiah to the supermarket, then you can end up, buying goods, buying food, buying drink a lot. You may bring the whole, the whole car, the whole lorry from the supermarket. That's 100,000 rupiah in 1998. Well, might be more, 20 years ago. But if you compare today, in 2021, wow, that's a long time, 23 years. Well, actually, I remember in 1998, it was like, 100,000 rupiah is a big money. You have a higher purchasing power. I was about your age at the time. And then, if you bring that 100,000 now, let's say to the Indomaret or Alfamaret, you just end up bringing just one plastic bag, which means that your purchasing power is increased over the 20 years. So that's inflation. So that's why, like I said, your money today is worth more than your money in the future. So that's That's the concept of the inflation associated with this. Okay, that's present value. Okay, this is the, calculation. I'm going to test you if you still remember this. Okay, this is called discounting payment stream. Streams means you have a year 1, year 2, year 3. If this one is only for 1 year. Okay, there is no stream. Streams mean you will receive money every year or every month or every day. So it's supposed to be stream more than one time. So this is the calculation. So the present value is equal x1 divided by, 1 plus r and then square 1. And then you plus x2, that's divided 1 plus r square 2. If it's 3, then it should be square 3, square 4, square 5, and so on and so forth. R is the interest rate. Okay. Let me ask you some question here. Can I just write in here? Okay, just put something here. Okay, in here. Let's see the question here. Oops. Question. The interest rate is 5% per year. Okay, and then and you want your money grow to become $100 by next year. Then money you need to invest today. Okay, just calculate this. How much you need to invest today. So this is present value, future, present value, future account. So if the interest rate is 5% per year today, and then you want your money grow to become $100 by next year. Okay, next year you want to receive $100. And then how much money you need to invest today? Using this equation. So using this equation, find my question. Okay, let's do it. Give you 5 minutes. Okay, while you do this calculation, I'm going to do the attendance list. Oh, the attendance list. Adam Raihan,
Yes, sir. Present, sir.
Adelia Stefani,
Present, sir.
Adelia,
Present, sir.
hello Adelia. Okay,
Sir.
yes, hold on. What is today? Alan Budi Limantara,
Present, sir.
Alan Limantara. Okay. Arya Putra,
Present, sir.
Brahmantio,
Present, sir.
Karen Michelle,
Present, sir.
okay. Christian Nathanael,
Present, sir.
present. Christian. Kofi Manuel, present ya, Fernandes. Deli Ika,
Present, sir.
Romawati, yes. Ferdian Prada,
Present,
Hello,
sir.
sir.
present ya.
Hello, sir.
Rizka Fitria,
Can you hear my voice?
ya.
Present, sir.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, yes, I can hear your voice, Coffee.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Present, sir.
Deli Ika, Deli Ika present.
Present, sir.
Oh ya. Deli Ika, Ferdian, Geraldi Agung, Igusti Ayu Komang,
Present, sir.
Gisela, oke. Jessica,
Present, sir.
ya present. Johannes Antonio Marcel,
Jaringannya susah Pak, nggak bisa masuk.
His connection is bad.
Siapa? Johannes.
Yes, Marcel, Johannes. He cannot join the class.
Okay. Where he live?
In Bekasi, Babelan, sir.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
Bad connection should be permitted. Kenny Kusuma?
Present sir.
Karisma Kurnia?
Present, sir.
Kim Min Ho?
Present sir.
Lambang Dewi Kurnawati?
Present, sir.
Lorenzo?
Yes, present, sir.
Martin Ho Immanuel?
Present sir.
Okay. Made Ramadita? Made Ramadita Wiradarmawan? Made. Made Wiyanti. Made Wiyanti?
Present, sir.
Okay, so there's two Made. The first Made is not coming. Made Ramadita Wiradarmawan. Mario Saputra?
Present sir.
Maitri Yuni?
Present, sir.
Michael John? Michael John, okay, present. Novel Jahdi?
Present sir.
Natasha Anggraini?
Present, sir.
Nguyen Hotau?
Yep, present, sir.
Putu Gilang Wardana?
Present, sir.
Rahmatul Wahyuni?
Present, sir.
Radzali Dewantara?
Present sir.
Rizka Fitri?
Present, sir.
Rizky Maulana?
Present sir.
Sun Zhang Han?
Present, sir.
Safira Sesa?
Present, sir.
San Luis?
Present sir.
Setia Abadi? Setia Abadi? Where are you? Oh, you sleeping, huh? Setia Abadi. Stephen?
Present, sir.
Sarah Sivita?
Present, sir. Present, sir.
Sarah Faradila? Oke, Setiabadi. Sarah Faradila. Sarah Faradila. Not coming, ya. Sarah Faradila. Sarah Faradila. Fenita Salsabila.
Present, sir.
Winda Maritasari.
Present, sir.
Ciming Iva.
Present, sir.
Zaki Febriansa.
Zaki cannot join, sir.
Why?
Because there is blackout in Aceh, sir. In his area.
There is what?
There is blackout in his area, sir. So the
Oh,
Wi-Fi
okay.
is turned
So
off, sir.
she bad connection, ya.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Angeline.
Present, sir.
Okay. Tiara.
Present, sir.
Wiga Putri.
Present, sir.
Okay, thank you. So, how about my question?
Sir,
So, how much money you need to invest?
sir, may I try?
How much?
Sir, 95.238, sir.
95 point. Yeah. What's your name? Kim Min Ho.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Okay, I can explain this to you. This is actually very simple here. I hope you still remember. Okay. So, let me just put it here. Okay, the answer is actually like this. Uh, so your this is your equation. Copy, and then you put in here. So this is here. So they actually the present value equals to 100 here. 100 should be your future value. So X should be changed to be future value. Okay? Because this is what you expected. and this divided by 1 plus 5%. 5% is 0.05. Okay, and this should be square 1. Okay, square 1. Just square 1. Square 1. Just two. Upper. Upper, right? Well, it's just square 1. It's the square and you don't need to put. So this should be 50 is equal to 100 divided by 1.05. It's actually become 95.24. Okay. This is your present value. If you want to receive $100 by next year, then you need to invest this amount today. Any question for this? Just to remember, yeah. You guys already take the financial management, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. You learn a lot in financial management, but this net present value, but the future value, but something like that. Okay. I think we're done with this. Let me just. Okay, next. Okay, this is illustrating the effect of interest rate change on the present value. This is actually you have to pick between project 1 and project 2, and you have to find the greater value for your benefit. Okay. Okay, this is your one project 1 and project 2. In the project 1, it will yield $90 in the net benefit immediately. Okay, so as soon as you invest your money, then it will give you yield of 900. Okay, and the assumption here, you actually invested in the $100. Okay. Okay. No, the money is not actually mentioned in here. This is only the benefit. Okay. This is the discount rate. Project 2 will yield $100, which is $10 more than $90. But you will receive this 2 years from now. Okay. So you have to compare this between $90 that you get it immediately and $100 that you get it from now. So as the result here, at 0% interest is $100. 2 years from now is worth $100. So project 2 is better than project 1. Okay, if the interest rate is $100. Sorry, if the interest rate is 0, the project 2 is better than project 1. So $200, $100 that you receive 2 years from now will be worth more than this project. This project 1, just put it in red line. And this is project 2. Okay. But if the interest is 5%, okay, at 5% interest, $100 2 years from now is worth 90.7. Okay, so if the 5% interest rate, then your money will become $90.7. You also do something like this. Okay, you do the present value like this. If this one is square 1, then this is supposed to be square 2 in here. If you want to do the calculation, then you can find it. If it's square 2, then the value will become this $90.7. So project 2 is still better than project 1. Okay, because you get more compared to this. But at the higher interest rate, okay, which is 10%, the $100 2 years from now is only worth 82.6. So if we compare to this, the higher the interest rate, okay, if we see here, the higher the interest rate will result in the fewer government projects that can be proved. And the higher the discount rate implies that the opportunity cost of the government expenditure in terms of private satisfaction foregone is greater. Efficiency requires small quantity of dollars as a percentage of GDP. Okay, so if the higher the interest rate, okay, if we compare to this, project 1 will be better than project 2. The interest 15%, and still project 1 is better than 4. So the higher the discount rate or the interest rate, the less is the weight given to the value of the future net benefit. So it has to do with interest rate. And interest rate, remember, it has to do with inflation, because the composition of the nominal interest rate, remember nominal and real interest rate? The nominal interest rate will be include inflation plus your profit. Okay, but the real is actually the same. Any question for this?
No, sir.
Clear, yeah? Okay, good. Yeah, because this is actually from the, if you still remember what you learned in financial management, the discounting here is not really hard because they use the simple calculation. What time is it? Okay. I have to be quick because I have to explain to you about. Okay. Choosing the social rate of discount. If the private sector interest rate is R, then the social rate of discount must be at least that because of the distortion of the market caused by the government taxation. The rate must also account for the taxation initiative. So it's actually, this has to do with the RRR, IRR, internal, stand for internal rate. What is RRR? I don't remember. Return. Okay, so this is how to explain the IRR. Let's say that if you have a project and your project return is, let's say, 25%, and the interest rate at that time is, let's say, 10%. If the IRR, if the IRR is more than interest rate, let's assume you are borrow money from the bank, then you can accept the project. But if IRR is less than interest rate, then you have to reject the project. Why? Because with the assumption that IRR is internal rate of return, which means that your return or your benefit, okay, in terms of calculation. Let's say your IRR is 25%, but the interest rate is 10% and you accept the project. But if the IRR is only 5%, while the interest rate is 10%, then you have to reject that project. Why? Because what would you do a project that is only give you 5% in return, while you can put your money in the bank and you will get 10%? Or that's with the assumption that you finance all of the project using your own money. But if you finance your project using bank loan, then with the interest rate of 10% and you return on only 5%, then you will end up not having a profit. You actually have to pay for your higher interest rate. So that's why you have to choose a better social rate for the discount. Okay, this is actually have to do with the IRR. So I explained to you easily. So the rate must also account for the taxation on investment return. Remember that there has to be a taxation. Let's say if the tax rate is 50%, which is this is too high actually, and the interest rate is, let's say, 10%. Then your RRR must more than 20%. Okay? Because if it's 20%, then you don't have any profit. Your profit is zero. Why? Because 10% is your interest rate. You have to pay your interest rate in here. Okay? And then after that, if you pay interest rate, let's say your money is only, your profit is only 10%, and from that 10%, you have to pay an interest, the tax rate. Remember that interest comes before tax. So if you still remember an income statement loss before the EBIT, earning before interest and taxes, then you have to pay interest. And then after that, you will pay in earning before taxes, and then after you pay taxes, then that's your net income. So at least here, if the tax rate is 50%, then your interest rate must be 10%. Let's say your interest rate, then your IRR must be more than 20%. Could be 21%, 25%, is up to you. So how much money that still makes sense for you, to get. Okay, that's from the text. This is the illustration of the text. This is tax on investment income and the social opportunity cost of the capital. Okay, this is the text. E, this one, E is equilibrium in absence of tax. We assume there is no tax in here, which is that impossible. In every country, you have to pay tax. If you do a business, if you do something that create profit, then you have to pay taxes, because taxes will go to the government. But the government have to finance the activity using taxes. Okay. Okay. Using taxes. If we assume E, this is fund invested and saved per year. This one is return, okay, or return, RN16RG, okay. Okay, hold on, this is explanation. If the investor is subject to 50% on the return to an investment, but the interest earned by saver is not subject to taxation, so according to this. So the tax caused the net return to investor to fall short to the gross return by the factor of 50%, okay, by the 50%. In this figure, it represents by the downshift of the investment demand curve from D, this is D to D1. So there's a demand is shifting here from D to D1 because of the tax rate. The tax rate, remember the tax is actually decreasing your return here, okay? If we zoom in here, if there is no tax, then the return should be 16% here, okay? But if you if there is a 50% tax, it will decrease the amount by this, and this demand will be shifting to the left to D1, okay? This is called demand gross return, and this one demand net return after tax. Tax will take some of your profit, so the shifting to the left, this is your new equilibrium. In this equilibrium, okay, this is the fund that you invested, which is actually you are invested less because of this, because your demand is shifting to the left. Okay, this is another here. After 50%, the new market equilibrium corresponding to E. Okay, this is the new market equilibrium to E. As the amount of fund invested decline from F1 to F2, this is F1, this is F2. Okay, how can I put F in here? Let's see, this is your fund 2, this is your fund 1, this is your fund 2. F1, F2. Your fund is decreasing. So the gross return rise to here. This is the gross return. So the gross return increased to become 20. Okay, this is the gross return. The gross return from E to here, but this is not actually equilibrium. The equilibrium will be in here, the net return after taxes. Okay, where the supply touches the demand, and this is called equilibrium. The net return will be 10%. Okay, like I said previously. So the net rate of return is also the market of interest necessary to induce saver to supply $2 per year for investor to use. If the fund used to finance the project displacement, appropriate discount rate will be 20%. But if they displace consumption, the opportunity cost is only 10%. Okay, this is the new equilibrium because the government apply 50% tax. This is with the assumption there is no tax. As you can see here, the return will be decreased from 16 to 10% because of tax. Okay, and then should I explain? Any question for this? Okay, this is treatment of the inflation. If all dollar figure are nominal, then interest rate must be nominal and account for inflation. Alternatively, accounting can be done in real dollar. Okay, remember that you have nominal, you have real. And nominal, you already add the inflation factor in nominal. And real is actually you are decreasing the inflation. There is no inflation associated with the real. That's why they call it as the real. Okay, this is ranking by project. Ranking by project, you have to rank based on this. This is the net criteria. In the net criteria, this is when benefit minus cost. You have to find this. Benefit minus cost. If it's positive net benefit, then the project can be approved. If it's negative net benefit, then you have to reject. And this one, benefits cost ratio. When you divide it between benefit and cost. So BI is benefit in the year I. But the CI is the cost in the year I. And N is the life of the project. Okay, how many life the project? This is N. Okay, see the small one, N at the top. And R is the discount rate or the interest rate. This is the discount rate or interest rate. So projects are usually ranked according to the present value of their discount net benefit. So usually ranked based on the value of their discount benefit. All projects with positive net benefit are considered to be approved, but our project with benefit cost ratio in excess of the value of 1, in the ratio, they use value. Okay. If value is more than 1, then the project should be accepted. But this one, it's positive net benefit. Okay, then set. This is how they rank. This is clear, right? This is positive. Nah, plus is positive, yeah. Let's see, this positive net benefit set in here. But in the ratio where you divide it between the benefit and C and the value, if the value is more than 1, then you set. If the value is less than 1, this is actually, you have the higher cost compared benefit. Because benefits at the top and cost at the bottom. It should be more than 1 if the value to be accepted. Okay, any question? Any question for this?
No, sir.
Clear, yeah? Good. Okay, this is cost benefit analysis and efficiency. Cost benefit analysis efficiency. In this figure, okay, it shows you that the new project infrastructure will be improved efficiency only if marginal social benefit is higher than marginal social cost. Okay, this is miles of highway per year. This is marginal social benefit. Let's say that the government want to, build another road. Let's say if the existing road has only 2 lanes, the government think that if they add another 2 lanes, from 2 lanes to become 4 lanes, so it will be a big road now. It will increase the benefit for everyone who uses as this transportation. The government assume that this transportation will be increased because of that. So that's why they are trying to do some build new infrastructure. So the new project or the infrastructure will be improved efficiency only if marginal social benefit is higher than the marginal social cost. If it's not, then it's not good. So the project are ranked according to the net social gain they provide. Okay, if we see from here, this is marginal social benefit and the marginal social. Let's say that the government want to increase the miles of the highway. In Indonesia, we don't use mile, we use kilometer. Let's say from Q1 to Q2, there's an additional road here, or this is called a delta Q1 or change in Q1 from Q1 to Q2. If you see from here, between marginal social benefit and marginal social cost, if there's an additional road from Q1 Q2, the additional marginal social benefit, which is A, B, that there is a change from A to B, and then you compare the cost, marginal social cost from C to D. If we compare to this, if we value this with number here, okay, with the number here, then the marginal social benefit is actually higher compared to the marginal. See, this line is called marginal social benefit. This line is called marginal social cost. At this point, Q1 to Q2, okay, or change in Q1, the marginal social benefit, which is change from A to B, is greater than C to D. So if you want to take this project, then you can accept this from Q1 to Q2. You can accept this. They have the positive net benefit, okay? If Q1 A, B, Q2, or this area, Q1, A, B, Q2, is higher than the area of Q1, C, D, Q2, then you can accept the project. See, this area, Q1, A, B, Q2, okay, which is the longest area here, is higher than the area of Q1, C, D, Q2. So in this case, you have to accept the project because the MSB is higher than MSC. But if you see from from Q2 to Q4, which is the vice versa of Q1 to Q2, in this case, your marginal social benefit is only Q3, H, G, and Q4. This area is less than this area, Q3, F, G, and Q4. So in this case, you have to reject the project. This is the change Q2 to the change of Q2, but the change is from Q3 to Q4. In this case, you have to accept reject the project. So basically, the Q star, that the one you accept in here, that's the maximum amount that you need to accept. Because in here, this is equilibrium, where the marginal social benefit is equal to the marginal social cost, which is supposed to be less than the Q star. So this is called cost-benefit analysis and efficiency. Well, in building the road, in building infrastructure, okay, you don't need just build, okay, because if you just build it without doing the cost-benefit analysis, then something usually will be, I mean, if you build with the higher cost, but the benefit is less, then why would you build it? It's not necessary. Rather than you have to build something else, then you can use the money as the opportunity cost of building another infrastructure. This can benefit the marginal social benefit is higher than the marginal social cost. If you see an example in Jakarta, that's my guess. It's actually, if you see the toll road of Becakayu, okay, you know the Becakayu toll road, right? The toll road of Becakayu, I think that the marginal social cost is higher than marginal social benefit. And the government is actually not doing an analysis before they continue the project. This is actually the continue project that is left before the president. I believe the president of, I don't know, it's probably something around 1998. Okay, the president at the time. So because the Becakayu highway, the cost is too expensive, because the driver can pick other road that is much cheaper than that, which is the existing toll road if you go to the Bekasi area. So that's why it's very not the benefit. I think the cost is higher compared to the benefits, and the government is tend to sell that project actually, but up until now that nobody is actually buying that toll road. Okay, any question for this? The cost benefit analysis efficiency in here. So why you need to accept, why you need to reject that. Okay, if not, then I move to here. Cost benefit analysis and practice. Infrastructure analysis. Road. Let's say that infrastructure. Road. Okay. Road. Let's say infrastructure in Papua. So the infrastructure in Papua now is actually better than in the last 10 years. Okay. As you can actually know that it will reduce the cost of transportation in Papua. And the fact is, I'm not sure this is only applied to a certain remote area. The price of, the gasoline now in Papua is the same, the price gasoline in Jakarta. But previously, the price of gasoline is really expensive in Papua. But now, because the infrastructure is building there, it will reduce the cost of the transportation. Remember that if you can reduce the cost of transportation, it also can reduce the price of goods in the market. Goods and services usually decreasing. So if the price is decreasing, then it will increase your purchasing power with the same amount of money that you receive every month, but the price is decreased, then can increase your purchasing power. You can buy more than usually. If the price of fuel decrease, it will decrease the price of transportation and decrease the price of goods. And in fact that in Indonesia, we have the company called Elman. Okay, the company government is called Elman. Okay, you can browse this, find this one. The Elman company, this is not actually company, real company, but this is the company under the Ministry of Finance. And the purpose in this company is actually they are trying to, the Elman is I think the Elman is stand for the land management. Okay, they are trying to be. It's like the this is land acquisition company. Acquisition and acquisition company. That the purpose of this, if the government is willing to, let's say, build a toll road, then the Elman company will come and they are trying to acquisition the land. Okay, by buying the land, or if you have house or everything, they will buy it for you, and they will building a toll road. And then if you can see an example of the bridge of Suramadu, okay, bridge in Suramadu. Before they building the bridge of Suramadu, the economic of Madura Island is not like today. So because today they have an access to city of Surabaya, then I think the benefit, the marginal social benefit is higher than marginal social cost. Before that, people from Surabaya is hard to, they have to use boat, okay, instead of using, transportation like their own car. But then there's a bridge and also the bridges in Kalimantan and everything. It can benefit the society at the time. Okay. Yes. I think there's one. Oh my, this is gone. What's wrong with this? Okay. This is cost-benefit analysis of the hypothetical irrigation project. This is just an example. If you see from here, they have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 year, and this is N, the year of the project. This is cost, this is the benefit. Okay. When building this, usually is associated, this is actually just only a symbol of E, symbol of F. It's supposed to be like, you know, something they put only a symbol. Could be put anything in here. Okay, F, assume this is F supposed to be construction cost. Okay, the construction cost will fall on the year 6. Okay, if you see here, this is the cost. In building this project until the year of 6 is supposed to be the cost. There is no such benefit in here. If you see here, okay, the year 1 no benefit, year 2, 3, 4, 5. There's no such thing as the benefit in here. Okay, it's only cost associated to this. Engineering and planning, building construction, building engineering planning only the year 1, the cost. Building and construction is from the year 1, 2, 3 until year 5. But after the building is began to start, then you have to have the maintenance cost. Okay, the maintenance cost is start from the year 6. And then the cost of loss in agriculture, this is every year, loss in depreciation, this one, total cost. But then after it's finished, the project, and this is the benefit. The benefit of increasing agriculture because you are building an irrigation project is start in the year 6. And also if within the irrigation project you have, like for example in Bali they have, well actually in Bali they happen in the sea, the water sport, you know. If there's some recreation in here for the water sport, then the benefit will be start in the year 6, and this is the total benefit. Okay, this is something like this, and this one is actually the benefit of widening highway. Okay, this is same as actually T for T1. This is C for C1. If you do this. This is from 2-lane to become 4-lane. This is the annual cost of saving existing trip is CBAC. This one, this area. This area is annual cost of saving. And the net increase in trip from T to T1. The net benefit on the trip is additional cost surplus from above the cost of making the trip. And the net benefit from widening the road is this one. The sum of this area and the sum of this small triangle in here. This is only like, this is called the average cost per trip. This is the number of trip per year. This is when the government is trying to widening the highway from 2-lane to become 4-lane. This is the total benefit. Well, you can just read this. This is only an example. What is the cost in here? This is the benefit, and this is not benefit. So the net benefit must be positive. Then you can accept the project. If the net benefit is minus, you know, if you net present value, if you're calculating the net present value in the financial management, the net present value should, the one that you accept the project if the net present value positive, and then after that you find the higher the net present value, then you pick the net higher present value of which is the positive one. If it's the net present value is negative, which means that if it's negative, this is cost, higher cost compared to benefit. Can find this by subtracting this benefit with this. Supposed to be. I haven't calculated yet. This actually, it's supposed to be. And then this one is the rule of cost benefit. This is a summary. Useful tool to policymaker attempting to quantify decision making, and some social benefits are difficult to quantify. The distribution of benefit plays a role in the political output of this program funding. Okay, from this slide, any question? If you don't have any question, then I will move to another slide, which is the process of the state budget in creating the, the project, the government project, government investment. Okay, let's move it. I hope you don't have any question for this. You guys still with me, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Policy.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, what do you see on your slide?
State budget, sir.
In Indonesia?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Still have 30 minutes. I'm trying to explain. Okay. If you read in the book, okay, the textbook that I shared it to you, the book, because it's written and made in United States, it's only tell the process of approval or political process within the United States, which is, I think, is not relevant for me to explain that. So that's why I will bring up the state budget approval in Indonesia. Okay. So in this slide, I'm going to explain to you the state budget in Indonesia, which is actually has been approved last week, I think. Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, has been approved for the budget of 2021. In here, because I only have an example of in English. Actually, it's kind of hard to to find the material in English from the state budget that I might have in 2000, probably in here 2016. Okay, this is the state budget. The state budget, or in Indonesia is called APBN, as a financial management, is set every year. Okay, so every year, the government of Indonesia with the House of Representatives, which is the DPR, has to enact the new law, has to set the new law, has to make the new law, and implemented transparency and accountability for the maximum welfare of the people, for the welfare of the citizens. So basically, draft of the state budget or the APBN is proposed by the president. Okay, this is the president. The president of Indonesia have to propose a state budget, which is the draft bill on the state budget and finance memorandum. So in the term of the state, in the state budget bill or the draft bill has not been approved yet. So they propose to the House, okay, or the DPR, the draft budget discussion will be commission committee on the budget plenary meeting. So in the DPR, there's divided into 11 commission, okay, and then they have also another. There's not a called commission, but they call it as the budget body or the Badan Anggaran, and they will actually final will be approved in the Badan Anggaran. And then after the decision could be rejected or could be approved. Okay, if the DPR is rejected the decision proposed by the government, then the government have to use last year budget. Okay, let's say if in here in the government proposed the budget for the next year, okay, in 2021 for today, but then the DPR or the House Rep is rejected, then the government has to use the budget in 2020 for implemented in 2021. So there's no any increasing in the expenditure of the government here. So the government still they can build the road, but the amount of the money will actually decreasing. Because sometimes when they propose every year, they consider the inflation. If the inflation, let's say by 10%, then usually they will increase at least the budget to become 10%, at least. Okay. But if there is an approval from the DPR, okay, then the state budget can be executed by the government. So the draft of the state budget is proposed by the president to be discussed along with DPR by taking into account DPD consideration. DPD is like the Senate. So Indonesian has two chamber, okay, the upper chamber and the lower chamber. But the lower chamber is considered as the DPR, the upper chamber is DPD. DPD is the Senate. But the Senate here don't really have, so basically Senate Indonesia cannot veto the budget from the DPR. But the Senate in United States, they have the right to veto. So we actually have a different kind of a system in budget approval and rejection. Okay. So this is what happened. If DPR does not approve draft plan, then the president, then the government shall enforce the last year's state budget. Like this one. This is rejected. This is approval. Any question for this?
No.
Okay, good. Okay. Okay. Next. This is the state budget cycle. The budget or APBN cycle. There is a date here. Well, actually, this is based on the law set by the government and by the DPR. The law, I think the law number, I forgot, 17 in the year 2004 maybe. So this is called the pre-budget discussion. It's happened between May 20th and the mid-July. So in the pre-budget discussion, they actually discuss the principle of fiscal policy. Fiscal has to do with the, tax, policy of tax from the government, and the macroeconomic framework. The framework will be used for the assumption. Okay, you will see on the next slide what is the assumption in here. And the general policy and the budget priority, what they are going to do by next year. Okay, so the discussion, let's say, happened in 2020 for the proposed budget in 2021 for the next year budget, and we will discuss this year. Okay. After the approval of draft budget shall not later than 2 months before the new fiscal year. Okay, the new fiscal year before happening here. So this pre-budget discussion should be no more than 2-month discussion, okay, between the government and the House of Representatives. This is the draft budget discussion. Okay, and then after that, after they pre-budget discussion, then the government have to propose the budget after this discussion of pre-budget discussion. Same with the DPR. And then after that, they have to submit draft budget decision in here. It's actually somewhere between August and October here. So usually the president of Indonesia should submit this before the Independence Day. In Indonesia, in Independence Day, in the United States, I think that should be in October, because the fiscal year between the Indonesia and America is different. In Indonesia, the government has supposed to submit before the Independence Day. So that's why this is the August 16th. Excuse me. And the discussion should be no later than the October, by the end of October. Okay. After they have been approved, then the government have to be report semester 1 of this state budget, and they have to report to to the House, and because the House wants to know what the government has done. This is somewhere around July and August. Okay, it's supposed to be, yeah. If this is semester 1 here, it's supposed to be in the year 2020. But this one, after it has been approved, it can be implemented. It's implemented by next year on the January 1st, 2021. And then the bill on the amendment state budget. In here, the discussion should be completed no later than 1 month of the session period after the draft bill is submitted by the government to DPR. So it's actually, along with this cycle, it's been discussed. It's 2 state budget. The existing state budget, which is reported in here, and the planned state budget on the 2021. It's also discussed along this cycle. And this is the bill budget accountability discussion. After central government financial statement is audit, so usually the government should be reported in here in the central government financial statement. So the government has to create the financial statement, and it's called the LKPP. In Indonesia language stand for Laporan Keuangan Pemerintah Pusat, or the central government financial statement or report. Is audited by the Supreme Audit Report or the BPK, Badan Pemeriksa Keuangan, or BPK, Supreme Audit Report, then is presented to the DPR within the 6 months after the end of the year fiscal. End fiscal year in Indonesia should be December, and the fiscal year start to be January. So the fiscal year in Indonesia, somewhere between January 1st until December, the last December, the 31st December. That's the fiscal year. Fiscal usually stand for the, tax. Any question for this budget cycle?
No, sir.
Okay, good. Then I will continue. It's supposed to be 9 slides. I hope this slide will be present. Okay. This is called the draft bill on the state budget discussion. Okay. This is plenary meeting. Okay. In the plenary meeting, the first one is the president's speech on the governmental introduction on the state budget bill and financial member on August 16. So usually if the August 16 is fall in Saturday and Sunday, then it's supposed to be, let's say August 16 will be on Saturday, then you have to discuss on the Friday, on the August 15. Okay, so it's supposed to be at the office hour, not at the weekend. It's not very common in the weekend. I don't know. I think there's nothing happening there yet. And the second one, and the fractional view, in Indonesia we have the nine consists of 9 faction. It's supposed to be 9 faction. Okay, you have Golkar, PDIP, PAN, and then Gerindra, something like that. You can find it. We have 9 in the House of Representatives. There is actually yeah. And then after the view of the fraction in the DPR, and then the third step will be the government replies to the fraction view, of the 9 faction in here in DPR. Okay, this is the process still based on the cycle that I explained to you. Plenary meeting. Plenary meeting is in Indonesian language called Rapat Paripurna in the DPR. And this one, like I said, in DPR, we have 11 commission, from commission 1 to commission 11. So the commission will discuss of this. So the government working plan for the next year and the ministry work plan and discussed by the budget, ministry work plan and budget discussion usually include that how many roads that the government is willing to build, how many bridges, and then anything could be goods and services. The proposal on the program to be funded by the Special Allocation Fund based on the technical criteria, electoral district development program processed by the minister MPs. This is Commission 7. They discuss macroeconomic assumption, which include Indonesian crude price, oil lifting, and gas lifting. This has to do with the revenue of the government. So the revenue of the government will be included in the how much oil will be get within the next year. And then by this number, then we multiply with the price of oil. So usually the price of oil, the word oil will be in US dollar. And how much oil lifting? This is actually for the quantity. This is for the price. This is for the quantity of oil. This is for the quantity of gas. When you multiply the quantity with the price, then you can come up with, revenue. So this is also one of the revenue. This is a non-tax revenue. In Indonesia, we have tax and non-tax revenue. I think that's applied in every country. So this one is considered as a non-tax revenue. And Commission 11 will be discuss macroeconomic assumption, will be economic growth, and then inflation. Why is it supposed to be? There's no inflation. Exchange rate, and a 3-month government treasury bill. Well, actually, the discussion of economic growth has to do with how much the tax revenue will be received. Remember that the higher the growth of economy, it also the higher the business will be done. Okay, higher economic growth, and if the business is growing, then the tax must be growing as well. So the higher the economic growth, which related to the higher of income for the government in terms of tax. Okay, so that's why. So basically, the discussion has to do with revenue and cost, benefit and cost, revenue and cost. So how much revenue that the government is willing to get, and then compare how much spending or expenditure that the government is willing to spend by next year. So in here, it's actually they discuss the revenue. It's also discussed the inflation. Remember, inflation, which has to do with the interest rate and also the purchasing power. And then this is government treasury bills, or this one is SUN, Surat Utang Negara, or SPN. This is actually have to do for the financing. If the revenue is less than the cost, then the government has to do a financing. And financing usually through the government bond. the government bond has yield. Okay, yield has to do with the how much cost that the government have to finance by next year for the state budget. So that's why they discuss with the government treasury bills. Has to do with the interest rate actually. Interest. No, in bond is actually they call it yield. Yield. Yield interest rate. Basically. But practically they're different. I don't know why. And the result of discussion shall be submitted to the Committee of Budget. The Committee of Budget, this is in Indonesian language, we call it is Banggar. You probably know about this. Yes, no. Well, I don't have to mention it here. Okay. So this is the commission. This is the Committee on the Budget, or the Badan Anggaran, or the Banggar. They also discussed the macroeconomic assumptions, state revenue, expenditure, and so on and so forth. And they synchronize, okay? They synchronize the expenditure. Okay, RKAA it's actually the same language. This is actually the expenditure. And then they create the draft bill on the state budget discussion. Remember that the state budget bill has to be enacted every year based on this discussion. And then they create ratification of working committee, result deliberation and reading on the draft bill on the state budget at working meeting with the government. With the government. This is like and then they do a report from the chairperson of the committee in the budget meeting in the plenary. So the step 2 is in here. In the plenary meeting, they have to be discussed and decision making on the state budget draft bill. If this is being approved, then the government can be implemented. Any question for this? Okay, good. You guys sleeping?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to do this fast. But please read this, okay? I'm going to share it after the class, so please read it. Okay, this is macroeconomic assumption. Okay, this is before the government propose a proposal of the state budget. They have to propose the assumption to be discussed with the House of Representatives in Indonesia. So the basic assumption of the macroeconomic in the state budget consists of economic growth, inflation, like I explained to you previously, exchange rate. Why this is rate exchange? Exchange rate. Actually, 3-month government treasury bills, Indonesian crude price, lifting gas, and has been added to the basic economy. This is assumption 2013. This is okay. Okay, this is an example. This is actually a real example for the state budget in Indonesia. APBN state budget 2004. P is actually perubahan or revised. Oh, by the way, the state budget in Indonesia can be revised. Okay, if the state budget is no longer suitable, whether the revenue is actually from the set of the revenue, then the government can propose the revised state budget to the House and we will be discussing. And this number is actually from the state budget revised. So the final one will be revised state budget. We compare between 2014 and 2015. In the 2014, the economic growth is only for 5.5% for the 2015 they increased to become 5.7%. So with the assumption that the higher the economic growth, the higher the revenue from tax to the government of Indonesia. And then this is inflation, 5.3, 5.0, and this is the yield of the SPN, the government treasury bill. And then the exchange rate. This is the price of the ICP in the US dollar per barrel. This is the revenue of Indonesia. Well, actually, they decreased from 105 to 60. And this is barrel, lifting oil, and this is lifting gas. So they discussed of this, whether 5.7 is suitable for next year or not. If it's not suitable, then they both can decrease or increase the value of this, and also all of this. And this is an example of the state revenue. State revenue means overall revenue of the state come from the revenue of taxation, custom, and excise revenue, non-tax revenue, and grant. Grant is a small amount. Grant is money from others country. If you see the state revenue in 2015 Indonesia, the revenue from tax will dominate in here. It's almost 74%. Indonesia. So Indonesia revenue is coming from tax mostly. Another one, this is from custom and excise. Okay, this is bea dan cukai. So if you're a smoker, buy cigarette, so this is money will goes, your money will goes to this for the excise. But custom, if you import car, if you import something from outside of Indonesia, then they will charge you imported taxes. So imported taxes will be considered as the custom. The money will goes to here. This is non-taxable revenue. The non-taxable revenue will be considered, let's say, dividend. Dividend from the state-owned company, one of the non-tax revenue. Dividend from Bank Mandiri, dividend from the Bank BNI will goes to this. And also, if you make a driver license, you pay to the police, the driver license, and that money will goes to this non-taxable revenue. And also, if you make a passport, the money will goes to here. And also, if you get a ticket from the police, the money goes to here. There's a lot of non-taxable revenue item in Indonesia, so I cannot remember all. So that's an example. And also, this is the small percentage of the grant money from first country. So this is the state revenue. This one example of the state expenditure. Well, actually, I'm going to explain this as well in deeply by probably after the midterm of the state budget. This one is only for you know, it had related to the previous. I might go back to here. So this is the expenditure. This is the expenditure of the central government. This is the village fund, Dana Desa, Indonesia. This one transferred to the province. This one subsidized. This is loan interest payment. This is other expenditure. And also this is transferred to the local government of Indonesia. You can find this in here. This is only an example. You have the distinction fund for Yogyakarta. We have the fund for Papua and many other more. And this one is financing. Okay. Budget finance. If you have a deficit state budget. Okay, I think we're almost 10 o'clock now. The only thing, you are divided into 6, right? I want you to do an assignment. Your assignment is, let me write it down in here. Your assignment. simple. Group assignment. Okay. Group assignment. I just choose group. Okay. Which group? Okay. This is your group assignment. Your group assignment. Each group has to find budget approval in other country. So you have to find budget approval. Okay. And then each group should submit different countries. If you want to, let's say, China, Indonesia, you cannot give me the Indonesia, right? Because I already explained to you about the Indonesia. You can find China, America, wherever you want, but it's one group cannot be the same with other group. Okay, so I have to discuss with your group. Okay, and then each group should submit different countries. And please submit to me before class by next week. Okay, you have longest period, a week. And the format should be whether in the MS Word or in the PPT. Any question for this?
No, sir. Clear.
No,
Yeah.
sir.
Okay. Yeah. You have 6 group, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So divide this based on the 6 group. Okay. If you don't have any question, then I should take a picture. Hold on. Okay. Right here. Okay, guys. I'll see you next week.
See you next week, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, sir. Sir.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Mana ya? Stop sharing. And then- yes.